Hello and welcome to my latest video on Jurassic World Alive. And in today's video I'm going to cover off what I think should happen to Omega creatures to make it less of a grind and bring back the fun back into the game. So if you're Ludia, you might want to listen in on this one. We all know the grind for collecting Omega DNA is excessive, unless of course you're a whale and can afford £100 for each 1200 Omega DNA. And there's nothing more frustrating than playing in a tournament and coming up against a team that is so disproportionately better just because that player has invested real world money in their team. The gap between pay to play players and free to play players has been a factor in the game for a long time, but the gap between the two groups has never been as large as it is now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've nothing against the whales in the game. If they want to spend their money on the game, that's great. It funds the game and allows others to play the game at zero cost. Long may they continue to spend their money on the game, I say. The issue I have is how Ludia have implemented the Omega creatures. And a clear indication of how the playing community feels about Omega creatures is epitomised by the in-game names of two players in the current tournament. Cell Kidney for Omega and Homeless for Omegas. Thank you to those players, that really amused me and certainly helped make my point in this video. I love it when the playing community does stuff like this. Firstly, let me just say that I actually like the concept of Omega creatures and how additional abilities can be unlocked as the creature levels up. I really like that. The Omega creatures grow and evolves as it levels up. I think this principle is a fresh approach to the game and one I really like. However, it's the grind in building these Omega DNA stores that I feel is broken. If you're not willing to fork out a ton of money to buy the DNA, then you're left with Isla events and tournament rewards when they're available, or darting. But even then, with darting, the rewards are, quite frankly, well short of what they should be in order to progress at a reasonable pace. Don't get me wrong, I'm not looking to or expecting to get a level 30 Clever Girl within a month of its release. However, if Ludia is listening, I think I have a solution that makes the grind feel more at a pace that we can agree is at least reasonable. So, what am I proposing? Well, let's start with the structure of Omega creatures. As I've already said, I like the idea of Omega creatures, that they increase in power as they level up. When they are created at level 1, they have 2 abilities, which is in line with common creatures. At level 6, you can unlock an additional ability and they're consistent with rare creatures. At level 11, again, you can unlock another ability which makes them consistent with epic creatures. And so on to level 16 when they are equivalent to legendary creatures, and up to level 21 when they effectively become aligned to unique creatures. Taking that principle of the higher levels mapping to different rarity classes, what I'm proposing is that our darting experience should be consistent with the level of the Omega creature and the equivalent rarity it is equivalent to. And when I say darting experience, I don't just mean the DNA rewards, but also the target area and the movement of the Omega creature we are darting. For example, if I'm darting an Omega creature that is level 1 to 5, I would expect the same darting experience as that of a common creature. 2 large target points, simplified movement, and DNA rewards in line with a common creature. That is 30 DNA for a direct hit, assuming you're a level 20 player. For darting an Omega creature at levels 6 to 10, which is equivalent to a rare creature, I would expect the darting experience to have a slightly smaller target area than a common creature, have 3 target points, positioned at the front, middle and back, have movement that may include some acceleration, and receive 26 DNA for direct hits, again assuming a level 20 player. For Omega creatures at levels 11 to 15, which are equivalent to epic creatures, I would expect a slightly reduced target area compared to rare creatures, potentially more than 3 target points, one of which may be a moving target, creature acceleration and dodge movements, and finally 25 DNA for direct hits. For Omega creatures at level 16 to 20, which are equivalent to legendary creatures, I would expect, again, a slightly reduced target area compared to epic creatures, more than 3 target points, one of which may be a moving target, again, creature acceleration and dodge movements, and 23 DNA for direct hits. Finally, for Omega creatures at levels 21 and above, which are equivalent to unique creatures, I would expect the smallest target area, but still larger than the current Omega target area, more than 3 target points, one of which may be a moving target, creature acceleration and dodge movements, and 21 DNA for direct hits. We should not be getting a measly 12 DNA for a direct hit when we're at player level 20. It's like we're darting an apex creature, for God's sake. Ludia, if you're listening, please do consider this. I think it would make it a lot more interesting for players to adopt that kind of flexibility that you've got in the Omega creatures in terms of their abilities. You're kind of duplicating that principle in your darting as well. So again, I think it makes it interesting, makes the grind less, and let's bring some fun back in the game. Okay. Anyway, what do you think of that idea? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it needs a tweak? What do you think would bring the fun back into Omega creatures? Okay, add the comments below and let's have a chat. Okay. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.
Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it or found it informative. Please do provide feedback in the description below. I always respond to comments, so please feel free to add your comments, feedback or suggestions. Okay, until next time, this is Alien Newt.